I would like to show you this book, The Longest Game, the 5 Kasparov Karpov matches for the World Chess Championship by Jan Timman, that has been obviously one of the top chess player of that period, and but I think he also played a match against Karpov. Now, this book doesn't have all the games of those matches, okay? But he really does an incredible job. Why? Because it brings you from the beginning, the match number 1 to match number 5, and tell you all the story while showing you some of the most important games and what happened before and after. So this book is clearly a great work of art, history, research, and could have only been done by someone like Timman, because he was in the know, right? He was one of those grandmasters that had access to these top players. But if instead you want a book that has all the games of the 5 matches, well, there is this book, 5 crowns, that I got to use for really a very cheap price, I think. And it's written by Siromon, that also is a grandmaster that obviously had access to the players in that period, because he was also a top chess player. In this book you have only annotated the last match, the match number 5, one New York-Lyon. But at the end of the book there are all the games played in all the matches, and they use a very interesting way to show them. I thought they should show them chronologically, instead they didn't. They use the openings that were used, and they tell you which one of the two was white or black as a player, and that's kind of interesting, because practically you can see how the preparation of the two players improve game after game. So also this book is something you must have. But now I would like to show you one of the games from this book. I hope you will enjoy it, and clearly 5 matches must have been kind of very, very hard on both of them, and clearly there are a lot of things to know that today most young chess players don't know, because we are speaking from 1984 to 1990. If I remember well, the actual greatest player of all time, Magnus Carlsen, was born in 1990. Okay, let me put the pieces in the position, initial position. Okay, so this is chapter 1, Moscow 1984-85, and the game that I'm going to show you is the game number 3 of that match. Now, if I remember well, one of the problems with Fischer was that he asked to play up to 6 points, whoever won 6 times, no matter the number of draws. And they refused in 1975, because that wasn't possible. You couldn't play that, right? Well, in this match they did that. So it's a little strange how FIDE strangely agree to Karpov but not to Fischer. Why? What is the reason? No? So, in any case, Anatoly Karpov was white, Garry Kasparov was black. This is the Moscow World Championship match of 1984. This is game number 3. Karpov plays e4. For the moment, Karpov sticks to his favorite fourth move. Honestly, I don't think it was his favorite fourth move. I think Karpov and Kasparov were created to fight Fischer, and in order to fight Fischer you needed to know his opening repertoire. But I think in fact that you will see that Karpov in reality is a 1d4 player. c5, knight f3, e6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight c6, and knight b5. At the time, it was customary to build a Maroczy wall against the Taimanov variation. So it's important to read the comments because Timan has been a top player of that period, which means he knew the theory very well. But of course maybe not as well as Karpov or Kasparov. d6, c4, knight f6, knight 1 c3, a6, knight f3, bishop e7, bishop e2, castle, castle, b6. Okay, this pawn formation to me makes me think of a hedgehog, right? Bishop e3 and bishop b7. Karpov had this position before in his games. Queen b3, and now there is a double attack on b6, and knight a5. Kasparov had prepared this knight sortie. If white withdraws the queen to c2, black gets active counterplay. However, the text move is less good than knight d7. The move Friedrich Olafsson played against Karpov in Amsterdam in 1976. Okay. So, what do you think white played here? Just to tell you, Karpov fought for a long time before playing this move. Nevertheless, he knew the position. His second, Igor Zaitsev, had already recommended the text in his comments on Karpov Olafsson for Shachmati the SSR, but Kasparov didn't know these comments. Okay, so guys, let's remember this is 1984. In 1984 you didn't have chess base with all the million of games, all the annotation, everything there, with an engine that can tell you the truth about something. In 1984 you had to have an endless stack of magazines from all over the world. You had to have all your informator to consult. You had to really remember the stuff. While today, with not even a click, you would know what has been played and when. Okay? So I hope that eventually you pause the video and try to find the move for white. White played queen takes b6. How did black continue? Black continued with knight takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, queen takes d8, and of course now you need to take with the bishop, because if you take with the rook there is a fork, right? So obviously his bishop takes d8, the move. And now what do you think white is going to play? By the way, we are at move 16, and we are still in theory, in the sense that Zaitsev, that was the second of Karpov, already gave him the right move for this position. And the right move is rook a d1. So this move has also been suggested by Zaitsev. Kasparov now fought for 50 minutes. 50 minutes. Can you imagine? At this point we are at move 16 and black is starting to think 50 minutes. As you can see, long time control made a huge difference, right? Because it gave a time to a player to understand what was going on. Here it says, black's situation is uncomfortable. With a queen still on the board, he would doubtlessly have been able to create sufficient counter chances, but things are different without queens. White's majority on the queen side, 1, 2, 3 against 1, plays an important role, while black has a weak pawns on a6 and d6. Why are these pawn weak? Because this is a backward pawn and this is an isolated pawn, okay? So they are two different type of pawns. So 50 minutes, what would you play if you had fought for 50 minutes as black? That's kind of interesting, right? 50 minutes. d5. This is not the solution. Kasparov decides to sacrifice a pawn for active counterplay, but he won't obtain enough compensation. Better was Polugaevsky's recommendation of bishop e7. And here, of course, there is a line that goes up to move 25, but white still has a kind of advantage since it says white is in command. Okay, so after d5, what do you think white played in this position? Obviously, again, this is nothing flashy, but this is the reality of a tournament game, that you don't get flashy tactics. You get this kind of position and you need to find the best move, right? In this case, white played f3, and here it says an important little move. Black has to give up the defense of the d pawn. Bishop f5, c takes d5, e takes d5, rook takes d5. Okay. So interesting. Okay, let me check what's going on here. So guys, I pause a second because I thought things are not really going well for black. To me it seems that black is losing, and that's why I paused the video a second to understand, because I never watch the games before making the video. I want to be as natural as possible. I want to have your same frustrations, doubts, questions, and that comes out only if you don't watch the game before, right? So you're not biased. Black continue with bishop e6, rook d6, and bishop takes a2. But now white takes on a6, and as you can see, this become a pass pawn, so it's kind of a problem, right? Here Kasparov played rook b8, but Timan says that it was better to play rook takes a6. Let's see how it continues after that. he plays bishop c5, rook e8, and bishop b5. This is the power of these two bishops. And here it says, of course, now the b pawn cannot be stopped. Okay, let's see. Also, if you play rook takes b5, there is knight takes b5, and it seems that white doesn't have a technical problem to convert it into a win. Here black instead played rook e6, and of course, like I told you before, once you have a pass pawn you need to push it. b4, knight b7, bishop f2, bishop e7 attacking it, and knight c2 defending the pawn b4. And now black played a move that loses immediately, but also after rook takes a6 it seems white is winning. So what is the move? The move is bishop d5. How does it lose? Here we go. Rook d1, bishop b3, attacking this and this, rook d7. Wow. Here probably the problem is that there is a possibility of give a kind of back rank checkmate, right? So after rook d7 there is rook d8, rook takes e6, rook takes d7, rook e1, rook c7, and here there is bishop b6, and black resigns. So here it says that was the fourth lesson Kasparov got from Karpov, a dual lesson in fact. Kasparov preparation had been inadequate, underestimating a quiet positional approach to the problems in the early middle game. Later he should have settled for a passive defense. It has a negative effect to sacrifice a pawn against Karpov if you get insufficient compensation for it. Okay, and this now Timman makes a little summary of game number 4 and number 5 because they both end in a draw, and goes to game number 6 in which Kasparov is white. I will not show you game number 6 at the moment because I think this video is long enough, but of course I will eventually go back to this book and show you some other games from these matches. This was the longest game by Jan Timman. I hope you will enjoy it. It has all the history of these matches, so obviously if you weren't born in that time and you don't know anything about it, it's definitely worth to get it, to get an idea of what was going on. Okay? Thank you very much for watching.